Hello, dear friends. Patrick here. Tuesday, September the 10th, 2024. A beautiful, beautiful day. It's like we've got an extended summer today. It's beautiful, nice and warm and sunny. I hope it's nice weather wherever you are. I just finished a 9-video series that's going to be running from September 22nd until September 31st, doing a book review. And today I'm going to do a book review on this one here. It's called Spooky Action at a Distance, but I'm not going to make a video series on it. I'm only going to do one video review, which is this video here, and I'll hopefully get through it quickly. I've got a little visitor here wanting to contribute, so 2 visitors actually. There's another one over there. But I wanted to bring to your attention this book called Spooky Action at a Distance. That, of course, was a term that Albert Einstein used when he wasn't able to explain a certain phenomenon that didn't fit in with his quantum theory. When there was interaction between particles over distance or time or space that he couldn't fit into his quantum theory of relativity, he called it spooky action at a distance. And today, physicists call it entanglement or quantum entanglement, depending on the term. So this book was written by a guy by the name of George Musser. The subtitle is The Phenomenon That Reimagines Space and Time and What It Means for Black Holes, the Big Bang, and Theories of Everything. So 2015 published, so only 9 years old. George Musser is a award-winning journalist. He's won awards for writing, and he was an editor for Scientific American. He's got a lot of accolades for his writing talents and has been on news programs and what have you. But I wanted to bring to your attention, first of all, just quickly, the extensive bibliography that is included in this book. Pages and pages of references that goes through, like, over 10 pages, 30 pages of notes. I'm not kidding. It just goes on and on. The pages of notes at the back of the book is incredible. The amount of effort that went into this book is insane. And the end result of this, all of his study, all his discussion, is that physicists are not in agreement on things involving trying to explain quantum entanglement. They discovered quantum entanglement when they did some experiments with light. They took a light beam, they divided it up. I'm just going to paraphrase this for you because I'm not a physicist, obviously, right? So they took a light beam, they split it up, and they measured it at 2 different locations. And what they found was that the photons, depending on whether you look at them as waves or particles or a combination of both, were able to synchronize over distance that could not be explained through traditional quantum theory. So the photons from one light beam that was split from the other light beam was in sync with the other light beam, depending on the characteristics of the experiment. And it's a long, drawn-out explanation. I'm not going to go into detail. But it tells physicists that for some reason there is the ability at the quantum level for particles to respond over distances that could only be explained by some type of unseen connection that is that they call quantum entanglement. The particles are connected somehow, and they cannot explain that. And they've come up with all these different theories to try and explain it. And as I said, I don't know who could even get through this book. It is long and tedious and arguing back and forth and back and forth. And the guy's talking to all these different physicists, and they have all these different ideas. So what I'll do for this particular review is all I'm going to do is I'm going to jot down in the description of the video the quotes that I took that I found most compelling. And I'll share those quotes with you. And what I will do just right now quickly is to try and go through and pull out anything that really jumped out at me and got my attention. There was one section that I really wanted to share with you that I thought was significant, and I'll see if I can pull it up here quickly for you. I apologize for the delay. If it's too much delay, I will try and edit it out of the video. But it just reminds me of what Solomon said. He said, of making much books is there's no end, and with much study there is making your soul tired, essentially, is what he said. And he said, the summation of the matter is to fear God and obey His commandments. He said, "Of much study, there's no end," and you're just going to tire yourself out. And this is one good example of that. It just goes on and on and on. And this guy said this, and this guy came up with this idea, and there is no end to the arguing back and forth between physicists of what may be the explanation for why particles behave the way they do. So let's go this one here. This is the quote that I wanted to share with you from page 104. The chapter is called The Great Debate. It says here, Einstein argued that a deeper level of reality was the only hope for saving locality. There's these terms, locality and non-locality. Locality means everything follows cause and effect. Non-locality means that there are things that are outside of the physical reality that we cannot see that are able to have an effect on the things that we can see. That's my paraphrase. I don't have time to go into trying to explain locality and non-locality in this short video, and it would just be tedious for you anyway. He goes on. Einstein argued the deeper level of reality was the only hope for saving locality. Bell dashed this hope. Bell is another physicist. Having established that nature is non-local, Bell wondered how the non-locality might operate. He reasoned that spooky action requires a spook, some immaterial entity that conveys influence from one place to another. And there was a candidate for one. He called the guiding field. Although Einstein and de Broglie had proposed the guiding field as a way to avoid non-locality, the American theorist David Bohm reimagined it in the early 1950s as a mechanism to generate non-locality. This field is roughly like the gravitational field as conceived by Newton or the Force in Star Wars. By banging on the field in one place, you could rattle a particle anywhere else in the universe. And so this goes on and on and on and on. And I'm telling you, it is totally, totally tedious unless you happen to be a physicist. But this thing here that he talks about, the guiding field, this unseen, it's gravity is sort of like an invisible field in that it operates on things in a dimension that we cannot see. But this would be outside of gravity even. Pardon me, just finishing off the last bit of Java here on this beautiful morning. So that was one quote that's very, very important because the author does not follow up on that, this idea of a guiding field. Well, what would that guiding field be? Can you guess? A three-letter word? Page 108, he talks about superdeterminism, which is an interesting concept if you're interested in such a thing. That guiding field would be God, right? The Spirit of God moved over the waters across the earth, right? Again, he mentions it on page 121, the guiding field. But he's unable to explore it as much as he could because obviously scientists today aren't allowed to talk about God because of people like Dawkins and so on. So let's see, page 125. There's a reason Einstein called quantum non-locality spooky action at a distance rather than just action at a distance. It's profoundly different from the earlier types of non-locality I talked about in chapter 2. Newton's force of gravity also acts instantaneously, but at least it weakens as you get farther away from an object, so it still has spatial qualities. Entanglement, though, not only operates instantaneously, but also loses none of its strength with distance. It's like the bond between lovers. It depends only on what went on between them in the past and loses none of its power, no matter how far apart they may be. How romantic. I just had to share that quote because I think that is so cool, right? That there's this unseen force, this guiding thing that acts instantaneously. Entanglement. I like the term entanglement. I love it. It's much better than spooky action at a distance. And I think it correlates with this idea of the guiding field. So that really gave me a good kick, and that was worth the read, even though it was very tedious. There's a few other quotes that I'll include that jump out and are rather compelling. And some of it goes right off the rails into bizarre, like the whole idea of multiple universes and all that. You might as well be just chasing your tail. He says here, the author actually, this guy who's actually writing about it as an observer, comes to the conclusion on page 169, non-locality is no longer the mystery, it's the way things really are, according to him, and according to the experiments that they've done with light, and there's other reasons why he talks about that. There's a particular interesting section on your Facebook Friends network and how that goes into various clumps and can be analyzed as kind of like this organic growth of connections, and that's kind of interesting. Page 201, theorists will need an even more radical approach to explain non-locality than the ones they've tried so far, and indeed they've been stumbling toward one. So there's still, that's right before the conclusion. The last chapter talks about this idea of the amplitude hadron, which is just a silly geometrical expansion of dimensions of reality, and they're still just shooting at grasping at straws, and it's still even, he says, crazy ideas, or potentially stupid questions, and they're going out. And he talks about the relationships amongst physicists. They act like teenagers, just fighting to get attention amongst themselves. It's really sad, the state of affairs of academia, and getting published and getting attention and getting your ideas agreed to, and on and on and on. It's funny, he even makes a quote on page 212, we need to be tolerant of intolerance. That's the quote from the author. He says, we need to be tolerant of intolerance. And of course, the context is he's talking about amongst physicists arguing amongst themselves, because they come up with such crazy ideas. They have to sort of grin and bear it and listen to it, even though they're crazy, like multiple universes, and trying to explain why you can be in one place at another time, and black holes changing the fabric of reality, and all kinds of just absolute sci-fi nonsense, if you want to call it that. So after all that, all I could get out of it was a few, to me, valuable quotes. And I feel so sorry for the guy having to waste that much time. I mean, how many people are even going to be able to get through this, let alone read the whole thing? It is tedious. It is just an exercise in futility of scientists chasing their tails and disagreeing with one another over time and over time. There was one interesting anecdote, I have to admit. There was an interesting anecdote about the scientist Heisenberg, who was in World War II, was working on the atomic bomb for the German side, for the Axis powers, and there was a spy sent from the United States to try and kibosh his efforts, and that, I thought, would have been the making for a great movie outline. It's got all the excitement of a spy thriller, and that was just a little footnote that he included at the beginning of one of his chapters. If there's anything on that I can pull out and paraphrase for you, I will do that as well. But that was an anomaly in the book itself. Most of it just reads like a very dry, descriptive discussion. There's very little of those real-life anecdotes that come out and make anything remarkable about it. So I wish I could recommend this, but unless you're a physicist, unless you're in the hard sciences of studying, the one good thing I do like about it is that it did, especially in the earlier chapters, combine a lot of physics with philosophy. That I really appreciated, bringing up even the old philosophers, all the way from Aristotle to the Greeks and blah blah blah, and kind of combining their thought processes together. That was quite, valuable, if you want to call it that, or clever. I don't know what to say about it, but it just, I walk away just feeling so sad for the amount of effort that went into this work, and it will probably be, for the most part, unappreciated unless you happen to be, as I said, a physicist in that field. I don't know how much advances have been made in the 9 years since this was published, but there you go. It is what it is. I'm glad I did read it, though, and for the value of just those couple of quotes, it was worth it, because it was a very easy read. It only took a few days, and as I said, I'm going to set that aside. I'm not going to talk anymore about it. So that's all I have to say in this video. I hope you're doing great wherever you are. I hope you're able to spend time with people you love. As I mentioned, I just finished a 9-video series running from September 22nd to September the 31st, and those will be posted. They've already been uploaded, and they will be posted one per day for the rest of September. And hopefully I will be able to squeeze in one more book review before then, because I have one that I'm working on right now that is a very easy read, and I should be able to get through that in the next 3 or 4 days. And so I will probably post a single video review of that as well. That's not going to need a long series. The one that I did starting September 22nd is a long video series, because it needs a long video series to cover all the details of that. So thank you very much for watching. God bless you whenever, wherever you are. I hope you're able to enjoy life, appreciate life. Every day is a gift. It's very short. I have a dear loved one right now that is nearing the end, and that will probably keep me occupied for the next little while, and having to deal with the details involved in that, and the logistics involved with that. So, and that's going to be a toll on my mind and soul and spirit as well. So God bless you wherever you are. Spend time with people you love. Remember that God loves you very much, and I wish you the very, very best. Take good care of yourself and enjoy life. Be happy. Don't waste too much time studying and reading as I've done. It is a torture to your soul unless you really have a talent for it. If you really enjoy reading, I've been blessed that I really enjoy reading, and I'd like to share that with other people by reviewing these books in a way so that you don't have to. But if I do find books that I say, oh, you should read this book, I will definitely recommend that. But I don't know if I've ever found a book like that in the past, my memory. But if I ever do find a book that I say, oh, you should spend time, read this book, it's worth your time, I will definitely let you know that. Oh, the Gospel of John. Obviously, okay. The Gospel of John. Make sure you read that. That is a very valuable book to read. The Bible, of course, but even that's a tough read. A lot of people can't get through it. The Gospel of John, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, the book of Revelation, and those are the must reads. Besides that, everything else is just, if you can take it, take it. If you can't, you're not missing much. Enjoy life. God bless you. And I think time is better spent singing and listening to music than it is reading. I don't know if that's true or not, but sometimes you got to appreciate life more than study it. Does that make sense? I don't know if it does or not, but it's okay. God bless you. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your summer. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Bye-bye.